What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I wanted to do a follow-up video to the Kingdom Hearts 4 video I did a few days back. We got a lot of stuff from Tetsuya Nomura, and some interesting stuff, definitely all interesting, but also kind of sad. We talked a little bit about that in terms of the impending retirement and all that jazz, but I wanted to circle back on something I actually kind of skimmed over, like I didn't really talk about in that video, but it's the reset. He mentioned it a couple times in the interview, right? Kind of resetting the game and resetting the story, where returning fans will get it. They'll understand kind of what's going on and why it is the way it is. I think that was exactly his line. But also new people will be inclined to, kind of jump in. I want to talk about that in particular. So I saw some initial fear would maybe be the right word. Like, some people are concerned. I mean, there were some concerning things, right? Because you got to think about the franchise in the future without him, if it continues without him, or if he's going to be able to finish the Lost Masters arc, before he's done, all that jazz. But for me, I actually didn't mind that part much at all, of the interview. I kind of look at it as, you have Kingdom Hearts 3, and maybe the only one negative is, like, if it's going to be as easy for newcomers to jump in as Kingdom Hearts 3 is, I will be worried about the lore. I will be worried about the narrative, because, as we talked about in that last video, that is the biggest thing that, hurts, I would say, Kingdom Hearts 3 is that. There's other things to talk about with Kingdom Hearts 3, like the combat maybe being a little bit too easy, definitely more dumbed down versus previous versions. But, like, to me, you can go back 5 years, whatever it is, to look at my videos. I made so many on Kingdom Hearts 3. One of the biggest things was the lore. Just things happening just to happen. And maybe it was because of newcomers, right? So I will say, in terms of the one negative, but granted, it's a huge one. It's definitely, like, present, right? I don't want to, like, skim over it. If that's what he means by it, then we could have a real problem, because I've said this before, you can't have two of these back-to-back with this lore issue. Kingdom Hearts 3, I think you can go around. I don't think it's just me that's saying this. I think the overall hardcore Kingdom Hearts opinion of it was the lore issue with Kingdom Hearts 3. So you can't have that back-to-back. So that's just one thing I want to throw out there. I really hope that's not what he means. If that's not what he means, though, and again, you have to look at it like, at least you can, that Kingdom Hearts 3, that was the fastest selling Kingdom Hearts game of all time. I don't know if it was the highest selling, but, at the time it was the fastest selling. You had people playing that game that have never played a previous Kingdom Hearts game, right? You also have people that play Kingdom Hearts just for the Disney worlds. Like, those people exist. I would never, I don't even know how that's possible, but I can respect, you respect me, I'll respect you. I don't understand it, though. I can definitely say that. I can respect it, but I don't understand it. So you have to think about that, where if people are jumping in for the first time, you're Square Enix, you're having some problems with Final Fantasy, you're having some problems with the exclusivity stuff, you want your games to sell. You don't want Kingdom Hearts to be closed off. And that I can understand probably more than anything else, right? Like, that I get. You're a company that has been really boosted up in the last little while by, and actually for a very long time, you have Final Fantasy as one of your pillars, and you have Kingdom Hearts. Final Fantasy has trailed off, and Kingdom Hearts has skyrocketed. You don't want to close off the one that's got, you know what I mean? You don't want to say, okay, this is now only for the hardcore people. All the normies, get out. Because that's millions of sales, and you don't want to do that, right? So I do get that. I absolutely understand that. And I do think the way that they ended 3, like, okay, now let me say some things in defense of why I think you could do this for the lore, right? It might not be what everybody wants, but at the end of the day, Kingdom Hearts 3 was not just a wrap-up for Xehanort and all that stuff. It was a wrap-up for a lot of the characters in Kingdom Hearts. Now, I want a Birth by Sleep 2. I think they set it up where you can do a Birth by Sleep 2. Would Tetsuya Nomura be involved in that? Probably not, but I think you could do that, right? I truly believe, and I think you could do it with a couple different groups. Like, they ended that game with multiple groups. Now, it was actually technically a lot of groups reuniting, like, realistically, but they really, did that. And so going into 4, you simplify it. And I actually think that part is okay. I guess, in all this lore worry thing that I've been talking about the last 3 minutes, right? What I'm really getting at is kind of just like the base and the core lore going into 4. I'm talking about the box. I'm talking about the Master of Master. I'm talking about, basically back cover. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff and the stuff that they've been building up with, like, Dark Road and all that stuff. Like, you can't just pretend that stuff didn't happen. You established it as lore, and we're going back now to like the beginning. Like, this is a guy who we don't know who he is, we don't know much about him, but at the same time he's really deep. You know what I mean? And there's so much like curiosity regarding this individual, right? So it's like you've got to nail the essential lore that's there. You got to nail it, but not all of it is necessary. So, you know, to kind of play almost devil's advocate on myself 2 minutes ago, that is a part that I have to remember, and that's a part I think a lot of people have to remember is honestly, you really just need the parts about like reality and unreality. You need that stuff. You need the core cast. You need like Sora, Riku, Kairi. You need the Disney angle of Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, right? And you could have a couple. You could have Merlin. You could have a couple other things, but like honestly, a lot of the Xion and Roxas and Lee, maybe Lee, but you know, again, like they're kind of reunited. So you know, a lot of those characters that actually made the story more complicated. I think it made it better, but it did make it more complicated, right? A lot of that stuff is wrapped up where you kind of can just drop it. So in terms of resetting, yeah, I mean, that's actually what 3 did already. You know, the ending of 3 already kind of did that. 4, I think, is going to be more about pushing it to this new thing that we haven't seen before, right? This fictional, or again, like unreality, reality. It's more about doing that than it is worried about, you know, like organization is done. You know what I mean? Like the general idea of Heartless and stuff, like you can probably keep going. But, you know, certain themes and certain aspects and entire characters and character groups, you really can drop. And I don't really think it changes much about 4, right? Because you always have that in all of the other, you know, 30 games they release. So, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I would stand with that. That's the first thing I thought of. That is why I'm not overly mad. Again, it can still get bad. It can still be where this is like just an excuse to really, again, not really care about the lore, because we saw that take place in 3. So it is possible it happens again. But again, you know, to be a little bit more optimistic, I think they did it probably for a reason. Some things were forced in 3, but like they did wrap so much up. And I think they probably wrapped stuff up so like they could be done with it, right? And kind of move on, keep some of the core stuff, keep some of like the essential lore, and then build and keep going forward, right? Like that's kind of what you have to do. So I think a lot of that was already done with 3 and was kind of inevitable. Like we knew it was coming anyway with 4, and now he kind of just told us. And again, like even from the sales, like that literal perspective, you need that. You need more people. They already got more people, right? Now you need more people this time around. So, you know, that part to me makes a lot of sense. I will say this, though. I don't know if, like, the average Joe cares at all about the lore, where you could probably go as crazy as you want and as intricate as you want. As long as you have your 7 Disney worlds, I think a good amount of people don't care what you do. So that's maybe like the last thing I would like to throw in there, where I saw that a lot with 3, where I saw so many people online not caring whatsoever about the story. I can't even tell you how many people, Twitter, YouTube even, how many people, now there were a lot that did, and I think we kind of built a community of people that did, along with, you know, the gamers joint and a lot of other people that are on YouTube, right? There's a lot of communities that know the stuff. But I think there's a lot of just people that played it for the first time. They didn't have a single flying clue. You know, they had no idea what was going on. Like that last third of the game, Jesus Christ, most people didn't even know what was going on there, but definitely not somebody who played it for the first time, a first Kingdom Hearts game, right? So you could really do whatever, and as long as you have your, you know, Moana world or Star Wars world, you're probably going to make people happy. So that part is important to remember. But again, that kind of goes back to what I was just talking about. Like, you got to have the essential lore. It can't be an excuse, because ultimately it's not a good excuse. People don't know what's happening anyway. So it's, you know what I mean? So it's like the people that do know what's happening, the 10,000 of them, they were there from the beginning. They support you in your 20 years in between games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, throw them a bone. You know, continue that lore. Nobody else knows what's happening anyway. At least make those people happy. Okay, so that's kind of the final word I want to say in this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.